Just drop. Hey, how are ya? I'm Chris, and you are beautiful. Look at you. Look at all that. Gorgeous. My heart. Oh my. It's like it's the complexion. It's all complexion. It's beautiful. It's kind of like if you've ever seen how to put this, as freshly sprayed car bonnet on a hot rod, perfectly smooth. And imagine that, but your skin color. Today, I'd like to talk about the unconscious mind. And I mean, I think I've talked about this in the past. I know I'm low on fuel, we're good. I've had many a conversation about this in videos, but I thought I just popped in my head just then because a little while ago I went to this seminar and it's all a self-development type of vibe happening, and I'm just trying to, what's it called? We're trying to develop ourselves, and there's this little thing called a blind spot. A blind spot is something that you do or think or whatever you don't notice yourself doing. You know, we've all got those habits, you know. Anyway, and this fella couldn't get his head around the unconscious mind. I mean, we didn't really go into it as well. So, no, of course, he didn't quite get it, you know, because we didn't talk about it. So anyway, this popped in my brain hole because we tend to think that we're running the show, and we're not exactly running the show. We're pretty much influencing the show. We're like the biggest influencer of our show, but we're not the ones that make the final decision, okay? So, a great analogy for this is your computer, all right? Now, if you imagine your conscious mind as the screen, right? And maybe the speakers, but we'll focus in on the screen. Just that sort of output information, and then we can interact with it and make it do things and all that sort of stuff, you know. And many people, especially people who don't consider themselves computer people, they might feel like they're in total control of this computer. Which way am I turning off? 11 kilometers. That is plenty of time to overtake this car. Might feel like you're in control of the computer, but it's not exactly that way. You're not actually in control of the computer. Just because you can move the mouse and make the thing move, and you can click on stuff and you can type stuff and make stuff appear on the screen and all that sort of stuff, you're not really in control of the computer. What's happening is you move the mouse, and that tells the computer, hey, this person just moved the mouse. And then the computer goes, well, that means I'm supposed to move the little cursor across the screen, right? And then it moves the little cursor across the screen. But it's not actually making anything happen. As an example, if you move your mouse off to the very edge of the screen, the computer will say, there's a boundary there. We can't let you move that cursor any further. I'm just going to stop motion in that direction, right? Same thing happens with typing. Same thing happens with your games. If you're playing a game, you know, you might press the forward button and your character moves forward because the computer has some code in there and it says when you press forwards, move the character forwards, unless blah 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 blah. And there's a million different reasons why you might not be able to move forwards. There might be a wall there, your character might be injured, there might be an actual big burly character that you've got to defeat first, or maybe you're tied to a tree. I don't know, there's something, but you're asking it, right? And then you feel like you're in control, right? But it's not the case. Everything that's happening inside that computer box, the CPU, as some people call it, everything that's happening inside that computer box is, wow, that's illegal. Car people, weird, how's that? Anyway, everything that's happening inside that CPU, really, you have no idea what's going on in there. You don't know, you can't physically see or hear or taste or touch the computer code that's in there. That's all the electrons buzzing through the wires, the transistors doing their thing, the power supply controlling its voltage so nothing blows up, the different microchips that distribute data to wherever it needs to go. You don't know any of that stuff. The amplifier that's inside the sound card so that when you plug your headphones in you can hear something. All these sorts of things are completely outside of your realm of understanding and of perception, really. And there's no real way to know all that sort of stuff. I mean, obviously there's some real geeky people who could probably find a way, but it's not really useful in the operation of the whole thing, right? However, there is software out there that can totally give you clues on what's going on behind the screen. You know, what temperature are the different chips? How much data is transferring here and there? And again, realistically, for 90% of the stuff that you do, you don't need to know any of that sort of stuff. But if there's a glitch going on inside that box, that box is the unconscious mind. And if there's anything going haywire in there, either the software's playing up, the hardware's playing up, whatever, and then stuff will start to glitch on the screen. Maybe stuff will slow down. Maybe there's a virus on there and your data starts getting deleted. You can't see viruses. That's the clever thing about them, is they're designed to be stealthy and hidden. So you don't notice them until it's too late, right? Now, you can't directly get this, but you can get the software that can figure this stuff out, right? For example, some people have no software that tells them when their body's getting a little bit sick and it's going to go downhill from here. These are the people who are sick all the time. You know, but if they knew that they were going to get sick earlier on, maybe there was something they could do about it. You know, some people have an underdeveloped ability to sense whether or not people are going to use them. Their red flag detecting software is underdeveloped, shall we say. Could be cranked up a little bit. Right? And this is all software that we can do. The reason why I bring this up is that sometimes there's habits that happen. It's like code that just keeps happening all the time. It's sort of hardwired in there. It's hardwired in the code to keep doing the same thing. And if you're only looking at the screen, if you're only looking at your own thoughts, then you're not going to notice this other stuff going on. See, the unconscious mind my understanding of the unconscious mind is that it communicates through the body. It makes you feel in your body, it makes you feel scared. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel confused. It makes you feel like going towards the smell of pizza and away from the smell of sewage, right? Like, you might just not even realize that you're walking towards pizza, and then suddenly it's in front of you. Like, imagine if there was a video on you. Can you imagine a situation where maybe you're going somewhere, and then without even realizing, you're in front of a bakery or a pizza place or a burger place, because they're pumping out those smells that your unconscious mind like picks up on and goes, ooh, that's nice. Let's just twist our bodies this way. Same thing as when you feel like you need to leave. Like when you're about to go somewhere, when you're at a party, say, or you visited a friend or whatever, or you're at work or whatever, and it's time to leave, guess what your whole body does without you intentionally doing it? It turns your body to face the door. In particular, it usually aims the feet first. The feet are the first thing to aim towards where your attention is, right? And this is unconscious. You don't even realize that this stuff is happening. It's all happening behind the level of consciousness, right? Now, you can make yourself aware of this, which is like building new software in order to be aware of this stuff. Another way is one way to build this software is like to read up on it, like, for example, with video games, especially with early video games, there used to be some guys who would be able to glitch the game on purpose. They'd be able to see that there's a pixel right there, and when that flashes the right color, it means that the memory and the CPU is doing this particular thing that they can exploit to cheat and get around that and glitch through a wall or get 1,000 points for doing nothing or whatever, right? Well, our brains do the same sort of thing. They have these little things that it does that the normal person is not aware of. But by raising your awareness of it, you can be like, okay. For example, like I just said, from now on, look at your feet and notice that your feet and the feet of other people are generally pointing roughly in the direction of their attention. If their attention is on you, both feet are going to be facing roughly towards you. Now, keep in mind that if you're standing up or you're sitting cross-legged or some weird way, then this isn't going to work, because your feet can't necessarily, some positions of the body don't allow the feet to point naturally where they want. But if you're talking with someone and you're really interested in them, your feet will point roughly in their direction. If you get a bit bored, one foot will usually you'll reorientate yourself, and one foot will point the other way. Maybe out where maybe if you're at a party, maybe it points towards where all the other people are talking and all that sort of stuff, you know? Or maybe you're bored with the conversation, you're ready to leave, and one foot starts pointing towards the door. Or maybe you're just thinking about leaving, and your feet are going to move before you actually make the decision to leave, typically speaking. Now that's a new program that I invite you to start utilizing. It's just for curiosity's sake, not to manipulate or anything. It's just freaking feet, right? But that raises your awareness. Now that's nothing. That's not a very deep and meaningful program to install into your central processing unit, right? But there are other things that are much deeper and much more meaningful. For example, what habits have you got that you don't realize you've got? You know, what are you doing? What sort of things are you doing repeatedly and justifying? You know what I mean? And, you know, maybe you ask yourself, all right, I have these justifications, but is there actually a way around them? Oh, the road is all noisy. What if I just do this? Maybe that's quieter? I don't know. It's good now. It's good now. You know, that's a big one, because that's your blind spots that I talked about at the start, is becoming aware of your blind spots. Even asking your friends. Maybe you need an external viewer to be able to view what's really going on. It's sort of like setting up a second monitor up to a computer that's hooked up to a different bit of software, because other people's brains have different types of software to your brain, right? So they're going to pick up on things that you don't pick up on, and that's really cool. And they'll be able to point it out to you, and you'll be able to then, now that you have the awareness of it, it's going to start standing out like a sore thumb, and you're going to be able to do something about it. That's pretty cool. Instead of remaining or retaining these unuseful habits of yours, now that you're aware of it, and because you don't want to be shit, right? Because you have self-respect and you care about yourself, and you care about the people around you, because you don't want to be a piece of shit for them either, because you know that it's going to rub off on them, and that they're going to become a bit shitty because you're a little bit shitty. And they're not going to realize it, because it's going to pass straight into their unconscious mind without you realize. Oh, it gets so complicated. So you're going to want to help yourself, right? And now that you're aware of it, you're going to want to do something about it, right? So I don't know how useful this video is. Do let me know in the comments if this video is of any use whatsoever. But, you know, it's just something to think about. That there's a whole string of behaviors that other people notice that you don't notice. I don't know about you, but I don't like the feeling of that. If everyone else is noticing something but me, about me, I want to know about it. Because if it's good, I can feel good about it, and I can like give my ego a stroke or whatever, and that feels good. If it's not so good though, I want to know so that I can make a change, so that I can become a better version of myself, basically. So I'm not remaining down on that level, that I can grow and be bigger and better than yesterday. So that's that. That's yeah. If you've got any questions about the unconscious and how to get a handle on it or whatever, then just let me know, because I love this stuff and I'd love to hear from you. So anyway, have a great day and keep up that beautiful hot rod complexion. Bye.